Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, but the NHL 22 Wishlist series must continue, where I go through all of your comments and see, get your feedback on what you'd like to see in NHL 22. If you haven't already and you haven't watched this series already, I basically just go through all these comments. So any comments on this video, I will get to in a future video. I'm trying to do the most in-depth wish list thing that I could possibly come up with as a game changer to relay it to the developers and see if we can't, just make NHL better overall, focusing mainly on Hockey Ultimate Team, as that's what my channel is mostly based on. So that is what we're going to do. Also, guys, as of right now, this weekend, my code at G Fuel is 30% off your entire order. So if you're looking for some G Fuel or you want to try it out, you'll save 30% off using code No Sleeves. Go do that, as it'll save you a bunch of money. All right, guys, let's get into the latest comments. We're going to start, I believe, on the second video, and we're just going to go through. All right, it's been about 20 minutes, and for anyone that's watched and, kept up with the channel and whatnot, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's get into, where are we here? Here we go. Been a minute. All right, so I got my coffee. Let's just fire through. All right, Oilers fan. Every single Master Set goalie is the worst in the game, is worse than every single goalie that is not a Master Set goalie. Okay, I will admit that the Master Set goalies are usually the lowest of the excitement and usefulness when it comes to an event. However, the best goalies this year were literally Master Set items, so I'm not really sure. Justin Noonan, Markstrom, those guys, they were really the best. The thing I think that this might be Oilers fan, it might be something from the past games that you might notice, but because of the changes that they've made to how goalies progress. So stats now on a taller goaltender, I'll use Ben Bishop as an example. 5 of his stats are capped at like 82 or 78, I believe, depending on how tall they are. Master Set goalies don't have any stat caps. So when they go up, all of their stats go up. So if you get someone who's tall, like a Noonan or Markstrom, you're laughing, and that's why they were so good. So I do wish that they'd find a way to make them a little bit more interesting. I think the team of the year, when Vasilevsky came out, also congrats to the Tampa Bay Lightning. When Vasilevsky came out, that was like the best card. It was the first time in I don't know how long where you had to think about getting a goaltender as your master set in terms of team of the year, because the synergies were so overpowered, but that's a whole other conversation. Kim says, take away auction taxes. So the reason why this is there, if there wasn't, you could literally just undercut every single time. The auction tax is how you help with giving away cards or, working it like that. Every game has it. MLB has the best auction house, in my opinion, and I think they have a harder tax than, actually might be the same, but it's needed so that you don't just give away, you're basically, you would just always undercut. So if you bought something, you can make 5 coins by just going up. And technically you can still do that with the tax, but it means that, it hurts you from buying and selling immediately. Comp seasons as well, says Robbie Pemberton. That's a big one. I touch on that in my main video. If you haven't watched my wishlist part 1 video, that's where I give my things that I want to see, the 5 things I want to see in HUT. Comp seasons is always a little weird to me, because I don't think that everyone wants comp seasons. Or no, everyone does want comp seasons. I think that you could make Rivals into a weekly or 2-week long comp season that's really exciting if you do rewards in the leaderboard in the correct manner. So I do agree they need something. But, yeah. First info on NHL 22 was released. Reason why you haven't done a video on that. Literally no info has been released on 22. Unless you're talking about, the Frostbite stuff, that's all rumors. And I guess I could talk about this now. If the game goes to Frostbite, it's not... Frostbite is a terrible engine to develop a sports game on. Developers of Madden have said it. FIFA have said it. EA forced them to use it after they created it for Battlefield, and it's great for Battlefield. The game. So if NHL moves to Frostbite, it'll look amazing. Frostbite does that very well, but it's brutal for developing an actual sports game. So I don't know if it's a win. I think it's a lot like when everyone complained and wanted wanted dedicated servers, but people didn't realize what dedicated servers on a sports game that is very connection dependent, especially NHL, because of how fast and how you play the game. Everyone wanted dedicated servers and didn't realize that, like, on dedicated servers, no matter what game you play, you experience lag. Obviously, some games like Call of Duty, you experience a lot less, but in FPS games, you experience the lag in a much less detrimental way than you would with NHL or Madden or FIFA. So I think it's just like people have a misconception that they want Frostbite, and I don't think that's a huge dub, but I think that's the only thing I've seen, and that's all rumor, man. Like, I haven't heard anything from the Game Changer chat on that. Gregory Santagelli says big things. One, let's see how long. Okay, here we go. Big things. He says, we need more rewards for playing individual games. Not all of us can play 10 plus games a day, so I would like to see more than just a small handful of coins given out for a win in online. Maybe they could go with a system where you earn a pack with random quality with each win. Change the gameplay to resemble the NHL more. Less insanely fast passes or cross creases, and more emphasis on aiming your shots depending on the situation would be great. The fact that cross creases seem to be the only way to score is lame. Bring back the old hut tournaments from Chell 19 where there were themed events every once in a while and everyone could enter. Custom jerseys, arena, etc. Bring back real goal songs. Okay. All right, so let's unpack this. If you gave out a pack for every win, boys, you would end up... like, the effect on the market would be huge, because even though it's only a pack, people like one pack for one player, insignificant. Okay, because we all know. I mean, I've opened up 1 million packs and I've gotten, a ton of players, but not great ones. Like, it just. However, if you give every player or every win a pack, think of that. People that play 50 games a week, they win 30. That's 30 extra packs. It's tough. I think that you should earn like 2,000 coins, but I think if so, like for the players that can't play 10 games a day, I completely understand that. 100% understand that. I think you have to just allocate your time in a way that is most effective if you're looking to build a team, like the best team. Like, if you can only play a couple games a day or like a couple games every few days, choose the method that you like, whether it be, if you like playing online, play Rivals. If you like playing offline, play Squad Battles. Don't do both, because that'll really impact your time. However, I wish there was something that we could work towards. I do like the thought of that. Change the gameplay to resemble the NHL more. So, here's the thing. Everyone complains about the cross crease in NHL, but, like, in real hockey, that is what you're looking to set up. It is why you cycle the puck. It is why you look for screens and picks and stuff like that. Like, that is what you're working towards when you cycle in the zone in NHL. Even on a rush on a 2-on-1, like a 2-on-1 is almost more dangerous than a breakaway, a 1-on-1 with a goalie because of the one-timer. So I think that defensive awareness, like the ability to pick passes off, needs to be bumped a little bit. I think that was the big issue this year, is that defensive awareness started so low in Hut that it just, all you had to do was force it through because everyone had 80 defensive awareness, and that's what dictates if you can pick up a pass or not. So I do agree with that. I think this year, man, there's been more the most ability to pick a corner than we've had in Hut, and I don't know how long, maybe ever. Like, I'm talking like, the short side snipes. I'm talking like on the forehand, like the slaps up top. Like, you can really pick apart the goalie and even go far side wristers. Like, those go in now. So I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that everyone gets hung up on the cross crease meta when you think that playing an NHL video game in a small time frame, it's a 5-minute period, so 15 minutes of game time. And a real game is like, an hour of hockey, right? And I think that a lot of people don't realize that it's just, you're obviously going to have far more instances because of the game being faster and whatnot than a real thing. And that the big high-end chances, those are the ones that you're looking for, the cross creases. Bring back the old Hut Tournaments from 19 where they're themed events. I think you're talking about like comp seasons. Something like that would be great. I hope they implement it with Rivals if they're not going to bring back comp seasons, but I do agree. Custom jerseys, 100%, man. Like, if you can do it in ESHL, put it in Hut. It's frustrating. But yeah, I would love to see that. Bring back real goal signs. That's a copyright thing. Like, they would have to pay a lot of money for that. it would go a long way. Like Zombie Nation and stuff like that. That'd get me fired up, but I can agree with that. Evan Muller says, please do squad building challenges. Example, collect all the Sudbury Wolves and then trade them in for a 90 overall buy field or some Sudbury Legends. Doing stuff like this creates value for every card in the game. It will add longevity to the game. So in May, when you open up a pack, get base gold, there's no purpose. This could be an alternate for icon collectibles. Example, collect all the Edmonton Oilers and New York Rangers to get 89 Gretzky. So I have been a big proponent of this since I become a game changer. Obviously, well, you can't really see it, but that's a Howard Niagara Ice Dog jersey. I'm a huge Ice Dogs fan, and I think that you're absolutely correct. More team building sets would be great, and they need to. The problem with the actual team building sets in this game in NHL 21 were great. It was an awesome addition at launch. They were fantastic, made a lot more value for the cards. And then what ended up happening was, the game goes out for 2 weeks, and the only two viable cards were Larry Murphy and James Neal. So they need to make sure that you can upgrade those. If you do it early, then in like 2 months that there's going to be like a 90 version or something like that. Like that's huge. Now, same thing with the AHL and the CHL. Why not just have, a collection that you can work towards? If I collect all the Niagara Ice Dogs, I can get a 90 overall Pietrangelo or Dougie Hamilton. Like that would be sweet. Like I think that needs to happen. It would be a ton of work, 100%. Like because you have to add. You think that you're adding all those new sets in, but man, it would make all bronze and silver cards exciting. Punishment for ragging from Madiv. God, ragging's tough. 100%, man. I hate ragging. But think about it like this. If someone goes 0-5 trap, okay? 0-5 trap and they are, let's say, losing or it's 1-0 or it's close game. Why should the player that has the puck run right into that? You see what I'm saying? So what would end up happening is you'll get some guys because imagine the only way that you could punish for ragging is if there was a timer that you couldn't be in your zone with the puck, right? Like you have to advance far enough and come back. The only issue with that is that, like, if you're playing somebody's 0-5 and you're like, okay, I'm not running into that. I'll do this all the time. If someone doesn't want to pressure me at all, I'm not going to rag, but I'm not going to run right into them. That would be dumb. That's just losing possession. So that, I don't even know if there's a way to get out of the game. I really don't. Because you would see the effects of putting in, like, a timer really harshly, and I don't think it would be well received. Because not only are you fighting your opponent having to worry about all that, you're now having to worry about, am I going to get a penalty for not advancing the puck when this guy's just 0-5? That's all that would happen, guys, is that they would force people. Like, the meta would end up happening is that everyone would just go 0-5 trap, sit back. Now, a lot of people do that already, but in this year, it wasn't really effective because of how fast the wingers were and how slow the defenseman turned around. So you could just burn down the wing and break in. But I don't know, man. It's tough. 0 DDA advantage for players that lower overall by putting base players in 90-plus teams. Check my vid with 90-plus 2 team and 72 goalie. Okay. Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm trying to figure out a way to explain this. Because obviously, like, there's some things that, everyone thinks about in EA. Ice tilts, all that stuff. Like, there was literally a lawsuit for FIFA, and I was excited about it because there was a suit against FIFA for DDA, and I was like, okay, because if there's a lawsuit, then stuff's gonna get thrown out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be info. They're gonna have to show and prove this, and I was like, okay, if it's in the game, this is what we're gonna find out. We're gonna figure out one way or another if there's actually DDA in EA games or not. And I know everyone points to that Reddit article by some employee dude. I read that, and again, I have a unique experience of going to EA and having a conversation with the developers, and I don't see how, but I get the sense of why people think it. The problem with goaltenders in NHL, it's like, goalies mean nothing, guys. I've said this. If you guys have been on my channel for a couple years, goalies mean nothing in NHL because of what people work towards when playing the game. A cross-crease one-timer with a guy that's got a 95 overall shot, there should not be a goaltender that can stop that regularly in the game, because that is the ultimate go-to goal. The muffins and the shooting from everywhere. Like, if you play 30 games with every goalie, you really won't see that much of a difference in your save percentage. So, I don't know. I don't think it's DDA, but goaltenders, yeah, man, they don't mean anything. Make defensive players rock solid that don't allow most of the passing, especially poor cross. So that was what I was talking about earlier, is that I think that defensemen specifically need to come with really high defensive awareness, especially early on. As everyone goes to 99 hut, every Ultimate Team mode gets broken when everyone goes to 99, and that there's really no fixing that. That's just marketing. Like, no one would be excited about an 89 overall card in May. And the same thing with MLB. MLB is the greatest Ultimate Team mode. I agree. And we're at 90. We're basically at 99 MLB, right? Like, and the game is different. Now, it's much harder to be good at MLB than it is. Well, that's not right. It's if you can't hit a fastball at 100, it doesn't matter if you have a 99 overall player. In NHL, all you gotta do is wind up and take a slap shot, and if you have a 72 overall goalie or an 85 overall goalie, it's probably going in. So there's definitely an advantage there. But defensive awareness, if that went through the roof early on, if that was one of the higher stats for defensemen, you would see a lot less cross creases going. I think that's what they need to focus on, because early on in Hut this year, they were like 80s across the board, and it was awful. Like, everything went through, and it really wasn't the game being, there was no gameplay patches. The only thing that changed was that the defensive awareness went up, and you started seeing a little bit less. And have you guys been watching my channel? I switched my defenseman from left to right because of talking to one of the developers, talking to the gameplay developer, Ben Ross. He said that I think that it might be, people, I don't think they understand that they will intercept better if they're in proper position, and if they're on their offhand playing defensively, trying to intercept the pass on the backhand. And once I switched my defenseman the other way, like so that they were lefty on left, righty on right, it worked a lot better. 0 benefit for Visa teams with speed boost. What is that? I don't know what you mean there. 0 benefit for teams with speed boost. So I'm saying like you're saying like a pay to win team or a team that you buy. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that one. Make goalies good, not only big ones. They've improved this year, for sure, but it's, again, man, like, you got to understand that, like, in the video game, those high opportunity chances, like, they happen all the time. In normal hockey, right, there's bad shots that happen from everywhere. It's very difficult. That a goaltender, because if they make it overpowered, I think it was NHL 20. You guys might remember this. There was a NHL at the beginning of the year. I don't know if it was 19 or 20. They all kind of meshed together now, where goalies were just overpowered. Like, it was like you couldn't score. Like cross ice one timers were just getting robbed senseless, and the community, like, it got insanely frustrating. They patched it. I don't know what it was. I think it was a speed issue with the goaltenders, but I don't know what someone in the chat, if you guys remember that. It was right at launch. Like, it didn't last long, about maybe 3 weeks to a month before they fixed it. But I remember, like, man, it was just impossible to score, and people didn't enjoy it because that mimics real hockey. Like, if you watch a full-length game, think of how many bad shots there are that are just throwing the puck on net to throw it on net. That doesn't happen in the video game because you'll just lose possession and it won't go in. So when you get scored on a ton, you got to think a cross-ice one-timer in the real NHL is going in an awful lot. So you just don't see it as much because the game is a lot slower. Conversion from untradeable to tradable, maybe. Yeah, I don't like how everything's untradeable, man. There shouldn't even be that. Unless it's an event card or something like that, then sure. But if you get the card, you got the card, right? Like, it's frustrating. I get you on that one. Don't punish teams that play offensive games with unbearable ice tilt. Again, man, in your head, until it's proven, bro. Like, again, go look up the lawsuit. Like, it was kind of telling, right? Nolly Flip. Yo, totally agree with the guy who said a franchise stats leaderboard. Another thing would be when you go to stats, there should be different sections for rivals and squad battle. 100%, man. Like, that is one of my wish list things on my personal list. Rivals leaderboard. if you play a bunch of games, they need to matter. And, Rivals just becomes this mindless task of getting your games done instead of like a win. You want to be good on the leaderboard, right? Like that. I 100% agree with that. The franchise thing, that would be sweet. Like for each franchise, they've gotten a lot better because of the Be a Pro this year. But yeah, it needs to be implemented in franchise mode, 100%. I think the franchise mode in NHL is actually really well done. It needs roster sharing, and maybe one day we get it. But after that, I think it's in a pretty decent spot. Obviously, the trade logic is always a mess, but a franchise leaderboard and stuff like that would be really cool. ABG Extreme, what's up, my man? In FIFA, you can buy a trait card that you can put on a player that's similar to Synergy. So you can put Synergy cards in packs and put on a player to customize them in a way. Yeah, so yeah, this was definitely, so Brad White says we used to have training cards and also line chemistry might be worth re-exploring. The issue with that is that, so take a casual player, right? Someone who plays maybe 10 games a week, and I don't even know if that's casual. That might be too many games. All right. You pack a really good card, but now you have to buy the team card to make the line chemistry work and the training card. While it's super cool to build up those players, it just makes it a lot more inaccessible for players that don't have enough time to grind. I think it's Ultimate Team, right? Like, it should be your Ultimate Team. The cards you get, you should put, and that shouldn't have any impact on it in terms of the line chemistry and things like that. Because then you're you might not play well with power forwards and big guys. Your wingers, you might only excel with wingers that are snipers and they fly down the wings, right? And if that's the case, then you're having to play against the meta. That I wouldn't agree with. But the synergy thing, I think they should get rid of team-based synergies entirely. And I think that there should be an unlock system. That'd be really cool. Imagine, so I use this as an example all the time. So Cale Makar, right? Usually defensemen under 6 foot, I won't even use because in the defensive zone, they just cannot bump guys off the puck when you're trying to get the puck back, and that's a huge detrimental loss. And again, I play in Division 1 against good players, and that you need those advantages because once someone really good in Division 1 gets in the zone, it's very hard to get the puck back. And if you have a small defenseman, like Spurgeon, for example, you're not getting it back by bumping him off the puck. However, there's a lot of Makar cards that came out with Gladiator and Shutdown. And when he got those activated, he got his body checking up to 95, and he was able to bump guys off the puck. That would be huge. The problem is that it's skating. No matter what, it's always going to come back to skating. And after that, it's going to be shot. NHL is so tough in that sense in terms of synergies and improving the cards because it's skating. That's it. It's whoever is faster is always going to be the bigger advantage. And it makes it really tough. I think that one thing that might be an interesting way to do it is maybe the really fast guys have lower endurance. I don't know. I'm using this as an example, but imagine, they couldn't stay out on the ice as long. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. There's really no way to fix that, so I'm not sure. New master icons, they've been the same for 2 to 3 years. So they change about 5 to 7, maybe even 8 every year. I agree. It's getting kind of stale now. The issue is who they have signed in the NHL alumni system because of the NHLPA, right? So they can't just add in whoever they want. They need to be signed into the NHLPA agreement. So guys like Hasek, they didn't sign in recently, right? So that's why they're not in the game. It's not because they don't want to put them in the game. It would be, I can tell you this, Nicholas, the Hut content developer, he loves the Legend guys. But yeah, I think that it's time now that we move away. Every year, the last 3 years, we get so many Zetterberg and Hosas, and Gaboricks, and it's those guys are done. Maybe make them legends. I think that would be better. Instead of just having the guys that they played 30 years ago, we're getting to that sense. If their hiatus and their big spotlights in their career were in the mid 2000s, that's fine to be a legend. That was 15 years ago, so that'd be cool. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's episode of the NHL 22 wish list. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment, as I will be getting to all the comments throughout the summer, and I love keeping the discussion open. Also, guys, catch me live on Twitch every single day at 12 Eastern Time. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.